Hey, real quick, before we dive into today's episode, if you've been feeling like your brand needs a little love, but you're not quite sure where to start, I have just the tool you need. The Standout Brand Audit Bot is an AI-powered guided audit that shows you exactly what's working, what's not, and how to strengthen your brand using my proven Standout brand system. In 10 minutes or less, you'll walk away with clear next steps to move your brand forward with purpose. It's completely free. Just head to the show notes to grab the link and get started. One of the most important shifts that I've made in my career as an online business owner does not have anything to do with branding or marketing or sales or most of the things that I talk about on this podcast. It has been learning to stop asking everyone else what I should do in my business. Now, as entrepreneurs, we hire coaches, we join masterminds, we poll the audience, we text our friends and ask them what we think. We ask ChatGPT. We ask our spouse, we ask our mom, we ask our sister, and all of that is good and fine. But the problem is that when we start doing that stuff too much, we slowly stop trusting ourselves. And there's obviously some nuance here, as always. I do think that seeking an outside perspective is super, super valuable and important. I don't think that you should be building your business in a silo. But today, I want to talk about the difference between truly getting outside perspective and opinions and outsourcing your authority. Because at the end of the day, you have to remember that you are the CEO of your business. Welcome to the Six Figure Brand Podcast, where each week we're pulling back the curtain on what it really takes to build a six-figure business as an online service provider. I'm your host, Morgan. I'm a branding expert, online agency owner, mom of two, and military spouse, and I'm obsessed with helping entrepreneurs like you understand the ins and outs of branding so that you can use it to grow your business without sacrificing your sanity. Whether you're just starting out or focused on scaling, we're diving into everything you need to build a profitable and sustainable online business. Let's get to it. I knew that I was a pretty good designer and I knew that people would probably pay me to do that. But as far as running a business goes, I was completely uneducated and naive. So naturally, I started to consume podcasts, buy courses. I hired a business coach. I asked lots and lots and lots of questions. And I really went through like an information collecting phase. That is exactly what we should be doing when we start our business. But if we're not careful, we never stop doing that and it can become a problem. We get so used to asking someone else what we should do or asking for permission that making decisions on our own in our business begins to feel really, really uncomfortable. Now, this is probably not something that you're going to notice happening. It doesn't happen overnight. It's kind of a slow burn until one day you realize that, okay, now you're asking 5 different people whether you should change your website headline, but they're all giving you different answers. And now you feel overwhelmed. So you're just going to not do anything at all. And it really, really keeps us from taking action in our business. Now, I want to be a little bit careful here because I don't want this to sound like this is like an anti-coaching episode or that I'm telling you that you should never ask anyone else for their opinion. That's not the case. I still ask people who I trust for input all the time. But the difference here is why I'm asking. Usually, I already know what I want to do. I just need to kind of verbally process it and say it out loud to someone and hopefully have them say, I think you're on the right track, or this is great, but that's different than being in a position where you literally cannot make a decision until 6 other people weigh in. One of those is collaboration. The other one is dependency. My husband and I, when we're trying to make a decision of like what to have for dinner or something kind of small and inconsequential, we frequently will say, okay, well, let's flip a coin. And one of the things that I learned from him is that the point of flipping a coin is not necessarily to tell you if you should have hamburgers or pizza for dinner. It's that when the decision is made, when you flip tails and tails was hamburgers, you instantly are going to know which choice you wanted because either you'll be happy that now you're having hamburgers for dinner, or you'll think, oh man, and you realize that, okay, I really did want pizza. So it's not that it takes the decision away from you, it's that it reveals to you what decision you really wanted to make in the first place. And I think that that is a really good way to approach asking other people for their opinions about your decision making in your business. For example, I will give you a very current real life scenario here. I am working on some new ideas for like lead magnets and opt-ins and ways to warm people up to hopefully move them closer to purchasing a standout brand strategy session. One of the ideas that I had was to create a small private podcast where I'm interviewing past clients about what their experience was like working with Spect & Co. and what kind of results they have gotten. I reached out to a few different groups that I'm in, like networking type groups, and said, hey, here's my idea. What do you guys think? And I got pretty mixed feedback. I got a few people that said, that's an amazing idea. And I got several that said, I don't love it, or you're on the right track, but like, here's what I would change. And I felt myself get like defensive about it and start to think, well, no, but here's why I want to do it. And that told me, okay, this is really something that you're passionate about. This is something that you really want to do. Yes, maybe there are some tweaks you need to make it like as impactful and effective as possible. But having someone tell me, oh, I'm not really sure about that, and me immediately having such a strong reaction to that told me everything I needed to know. I know now that that is something that I want to do. That's a much different response than polling the audience and having 2 people say, yes, do it, and 5 people say, don't do it. And so I don't do it, right? Which leads us perfectly into my next point. Not every opinion deserves equal weight. I think that we need to be a lot more discerning about who we're asking for opinions. For example, if I have a legal question, I'm going to ask an attorney. I'm not going to ask my business bestie who's a copywriter. If I have a tax question, I'm going to ask an accountant. I'm not going to ask my husband. If I need investment advice, I'm going to ask a financial consultant. I'm not probably going to ask my hairdresser. If I'm trying to decide my messaging or positioning or offers or the direction of my business, at some point, those decisions all have to come back to me. I read or received, got the message somewhere on the internet years ago, never ask for advice from people who have never been where you're trying to go. And that is truthfully probably in life and business the single most valuable words of wisdom I have ever heard. We so often want to ask for advice or opinions from people who are really close to us, who like we really love. But if we take a second to say, okay, well, have they made decisions in their past that I think are good decisions, or would I want their life or would I want their business? Frequently the answer is no. So take a second, consider, okay, well, if you don't want the business they have or the life that they have, then why would you be basing your decision making on what they're saying to do? At some point, every decision you make in your business has to come back to you. You have to take ownership and accountability for every single move that you're making, because it is your business. So you hold all the responsibility, yes, but you also reap all the rewards, and we can't be outsourcing that. I think it's also important to remember that expertise and authority are not the same thing. Someone can absolutely know more than you about their specific craft. A photographer is going to know photography better than you. A copywriter is going to know copy better than you. A brand strategist is going to know branding better than you. That is why you hire those people to help you in your business. But they don't know your vision, they don't know your values, they don't know your long-term goals, they don't know what sort of life or business you're trying to build better than you do. They are the expert in their craft. You are the authority on your business. Those two things can and should coexist at the same time. It is your job to hold the vision, to be the authority on your business, and it is their job to be the expert in their craft and execute really well on whatever their thing is, photography, copy, design, brand strategy, with you and your vision and your authority guiding them. So all that to say, at the end of the day, it is your business. And if you are listening to this and thinking, oh, wow, I kind of do ask everyone for their opinion and I kind of do hesitate to make decisions, I really want to encourage you to take back the power in your business. Own the fact that you are the business owner. This is your thing. You are responsible and you get to be the decider. It is fine to make the wrong decision. It is not fine to be paralyzed and make no decision. Now, I want to talk about one of the big problems I see with my clients when they sort of start to give away the authority in their own business. I know you have heard the phrase before, too many cooks in the kitchen. And that can be the downfall of your branding project specifically, but also your entire business. Not so much anymore, but early in my career, I saw this all the time. We would get through the mood board design phase and onto the logo concepts or the website design, and the client will say, oh, I love it, but I need to ask my spouts or my business coach or my VA, or I want to post them all on Instagram and ask my audience which ones they like, or my business partners, my mom, whoever. And then all of a sudden, everybody has an opinion. There's a big problem here. First of all, most of those people are probably not your ideal client, so we kind of don't really care what their opinions are. Most of them also don't understand the strategy behind what we're doing, so they're just looking at it blindly based on their own personal likes and dislikes, and that's not really super helpful. And third, there is this weird phenomenon where if you ask somebody what they think or if there's anything you should change, they feel like they have to contribute something right? Very rarely will people just say, oh, I think it looks great. They'll say, oh, well, I like it, but you should change this, or here's some ideas or whatever. They want to like put their stamp on it. And that can make things really confusing, and it can make it really, really, really difficult on you as the business owner to make a final decision. So then we end up on round 25 of logo revisions, and we're so far away from where we started and what our goal was that everything just kind of feels like a mess, and you're overwhelmed, and I'm frustrated because I don't know what you want, and I'm trying to give you a design that is going to like match your brand strategy and your goals. But all these other people with all these other outside perspectives have kind of derailed the project. Designing by committee is usually never a good idea. The same thing happens outside of branding. You ask all these questions about your business and everyone's giving you conflicting advice, and eventually you have so many voices in your head that you can't remember which one is actually yours. So here is what we need to remember about making decisions. Decision making is a muscle. The more you make decisions, the easier it becomes. And the more you avoid making decisions, the harder it becomes. Every single time that you outsource a decision that you could have made yourself, you let that muscle atrophy a little bit. Now, I'm not saying that you're always going to make the right decision. You will not. I have not. I have made a lot of wrong decisions in my business. But confidence does not come from making the right decision all the time. It comes from making a decision and knowing that even if it's the wrong decision, you will figure it out. You will learn from it and you will make a better decision next time. You get better at this by just putting in the reps. Secondly, your clients need you to be the leader of your business. And this is something that I remind myself of often. People aren't hiring me because they want another opinion in a sea of opinions. They're hiring me because they want leadership as it relates to their brand strategy and design. They want someone that is willing to confidently say, this is the direction that I think we should go. Now, I'm not always right, but my job is to give them my best advice and to give it to them with conviction. The same is true for your clients, whether you're a coach, a photographer, a business consultant, a therapist, a designer. Your clients need you to confidently lead them. That is what they're paying you for. And it is almost impossible to confidently lead someone else if in your own business, you're constantly looking around the room and asking, what should I do? What does everyone else think? Is this okay? So here's the one thing that I really hope that you will take away from this episode. Yes, continue seeking wisdom from people who are further along in the journey than you. Ask questions, hire experts, learn from people who are doing the thing that you want to do, but do not forget that you are still the authority in your business. No one else holds your vision. No one else has your lived experience. No one else has to live with the consequences of the decision that you make. At some point, you have to stop asking for permission and start just trusting yourself to lead your own business. You are going to make mistakes. You're going to make wrong decisions. Things are going to go sideways, and that's okay. That's part of the learning process. Doing that and being okay with making a misstep here and there is how you're going to learn to trust yourself again. Now, I will say that one of the biggest outcomes with a standout brand strategy session is obviously a clearer brand. But more importantly than that, it's clear decision making. Clients all the time come back to me months and weeks after our session and say, oh my gosh, I was able to do all these things in my business because I just could refer back to my strategy and every decision I made was such a clear yes or no. Once you understand your positioning, your audience, your messaging, and your long-term vision for your business, it becomes so much easier to confidently make decisions without constantly second-guessing yourself. So if you're ready to become the authority in your own business instead of outsourcing every decision, I would love to help you. You can book a standout brand strategy session at the link in the show notes, and you will save $100 using code SFBPOD. Thanks for tuning in to the Six Figure Brand Podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, please be sure to rate the show and leave a review on whatever app you're listening on. And as a thank you, I'll send you coffee on me. Yes, I'm serious. As a smaller show for now, you taking the time to do this makes a huge impact on how we can reach more people and how I can continue to create this content for free. When you take a screenshot of your review, follow and tag me on Instagram at @SpectandCo. I'll send you a $5 Starbucks gift card. As always, don't forget to check out the show notes for any links or resources I mentioned during the episode. Thanks again for listening, and I'll catch you next week.